everybody. I'm Janet Davies, and tonight I'm going to give you a sneak peek at that wonderful musical, Sunset Boulevard. It's opening at the Civic Opera House next week. Of course, you know it's the much-acclaimed Andrew Lloyd Webber adaptation of the 1950 movie that caused such a furor when it was released. Now, I'll take you behind the scenes of this remarkable production, showing you some of the secrets of this incredible and spectacular set, plus some star interviews and even an interview with Andrew Lloyd Webber himself. But first, let's find out how it all began. The main characters are, of course, Norma Desmond, played by Gloria Swanson as the aging and delusional, once beautiful silent screen actress trying to make a comeback.
You're Norma Desmond. Used to be in silent pictures, used to be big.
I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
William Holden as Joe Gillis, a handsome young starving writer who can't seem to sell his scripts.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs. I'm over a barrel. I need a job.
I haven't got a thing.
Any kind of an assignment. Additional dialogue.
There's nothing. Honest.
Eric von Stroheim played Max, Norma's servant who worships Norma and in fact was her first husband.
Say, she's quite a character, that Norma Desmond.
She was the greatest of them all. You wouldn't know. You're too young. In 1 week, she received 17,000 fan letters. Men bribed the hairdresser to get a lock of her hair. There was a Maharaja who came all the way from India to beg one of her silk stockings. Later, he strangled himself with it.
And Nancy Olson was Betty Schaefer, a wannabe writer who falls for Joe.
Sheldrake likes the angle about the teacher.
What teacher?
Dark windows. I got him all hopped up about it. He thinks it could be made into something.
Okay, where's the cash?
Where's the story?
I've got to run along. Thanks anyway for your interest in my career.
It's not your career, it's mine. I'd kind of hoped to get in on this deal. I don't want to be a reader all my life. I want to write.
I'm sorry if I crossed you up.
You sure have.
So long. As I drove back towards
Sunset Boulevard was written and directed by Billy Wilder, who had started out his career very much like the Joe Gillis character. The big question remained, would these characters translate to the stage?
I thought there were a lot of very good musical moments potentially when I first saw the film, but I had one or two reservations about it, I think, at the time, because I thought that, yes, it could be very effective, but I was worried that actually, whether actually you care about the people in it, because in one sense you could say, well, there is a old movie actress who's really rather rich, do you relate to her, and a young boy who's taking, if you like, and is that rather unsympathetic?
Whether they're sympathetic or not, the four main characters represent the highs and the lows, the good and the bad of the Hollywood scene. Norma, despite the obvious dilapidated state of her mansion and her mind, is still wealthy, has written a terrible movie script, and wants Joe to fix it for her. Norma falls in love with Joe and holds him with her money.
What's that?
Just a scene I threw out.
Which scene?
One where you go to the slave market. It's better to cut directly to John the Baptist.
Cut away from me.
Honestly, it's a little too much of you. They don't want you in every scene.
They don't. Then why do they still write me fan letters every day? Why do they beg me for my photographs? Why? Because they want to see me, Norma Desmond. Put it back.
Joe, now a kept man and in danger of losing all of his self-respect, falls in love with Betty, his friend's fiancée, with whom he is writing a script. Their nocturnal writing meetings soon have Betty falling for Joe. But in a final, selfless act, Joe reveals all to Betty, who flees. Joe attempts to leave Norma, but pushed over the edge, she shoots him, leaving him in that famous body in the pool scene. Now, that's a ready-made plot for a stage production, if I have ever seen one.
Initially, I was very attracted to obvious things like the return to the studio, where there is a song called Everything's As If We Never Said Goodbye, which is a great moment. And there's also the famous moment which he says, they don't make faces like mine anymore. I don't need words. I can do everything I want to with my eyes and all of that. And that, of course, is translated into a song called With One Look, which is a very important one for us. And, of course, there's the wondrous New Year's Eve sequence where she has this little band playing on stage. There's four people in an orchestra playing in her house. And Joe asks, Or where are the other guests? And she says, no, there aren't any other guests. So have this extraordinary scene where they're playing. You can play a scene musically against a little band. I mean, those moments like that are wonderful.
It's 10:15. What time are they supposed to get here?
Who?
The other guests.
There are no other guests. We don't want to share this night with other people. This is for you and me.
Well, when we return, we'll look at some of those wonderful moments and the cast members who make them happen. So stay with us.
Homework, but it's supposed to help me. Dad says homework helped him get our newest Sabre. He studied about safety and stuff, and which car is supposed to be the best buy. Then he found out he could get gas for a whole year. His homework must have worked, because everybody sure loves our car. And they were really nice where we bought it. Dad says I'll appreciate homework someday, but he says it about my sister, too. Turning heads in Chicago.
In Italy, we disagree about what makes our #1 pasta sauce so good. Some say it's the olive oil, others the aromatic garlic. But everyone agrees it's the sauce made the Italian way. Barilla. Authentic ingredients cooked slowly, one step at a time, the Italian way. Italy's #1, a sauce for America. Barilla pasta sauce. Barilla! The Italian way.
You know, I think you've got something, Fred.
Thank you. Dunkin' Donuts introduces the Dunkin' Bagel, freshly baked every day.
Fred, can I drop you off someplace?
I don't know.
In the world of tools, there's only one true craftsman. Craftsman makes anything possible.
Yeah.
I'm one hungry guy when I get home. That's why Stouffer's Hearty Portions is the right size for me.
It's hearty, big portions.
And it really tastes homemade.
Nothing comes closer to home.
Welcome back. The character of Norma Desmond drives the plot of Sunset Boulevard, and any actress who plays this character has to follow in the footsteps of actress Gloria Swanson, who created the film role. Well, not to worry, Norma Desmond is played by the very talented Linda Balgord. Because the original film version starred Gloria Swanson and the musical has featured several actresses in the role, Linda has had to find her own way of playing the most famous of has-been actresses, Norma Desmond.
I really did approach it as if I'd never seen it or heard it before. I think you have to do that. She's such a complex and many people would say difficult woman to care about. So I think that I had to be brutally honest and draw only from myself, because I think that anything else applied on, or something that perhaps I'd seen someone do that I thought, oh, I like that, if I tried to put that on myself, I don't think it would ring true. And I think that any sort of artifice is not going to allow the audience to really grow to care about Norma.
Andrew Lloyd Webber himself has said that you're his Norma. And how do you react to something like that, that you're Norma? You're what he envisioned.
It's really thrilling. It's interesting after you do a role. I think we're nearly at our 300th performance now, so it becomes just a part of your life. But every once in a while I'm able to step out and I still go, oh my God, you know, it's thrilling. I mean, it's the role of a lifetime, and such a gift. And you know, that sounds kind of Pollyanna, but it's true. It's how I feel about it. It's an amazing gift.
Now, do you have a favorite moment in the show?
Oh, I think it changes all the time. I very much like the second act scene where she returns to Paramount 2, where she sings As If We Never Said Goodbye. That's such an incredible moment for her. feeling her power again and the excitement of working in film. I also like the ending of the show very much. It's always different. It's very interesting. It's a strange thing, the whole mad scene. I really like that quite a lot too. So it changes over time.
The challenges and demands of performing Norma Desmond are tremendous, but perhaps the biggest challenge of this whole production comes in the form of a 30-ton mansion. Bill Roberts, the principal stage manager for the touring company, gave me a look behind the scenes and explained how it all works. As the largest touring set on the road today, it takes up to 52 trucks to transport it from city to city. The intricacies of the lighting and the movements of the various set pieces are all logged in the master book used by all 4 stage managers. He told us that the set is built better than most houses and moves on tracks in the floor that enable forward and backward movement, which allows other scenes to be placed downstage. There are 50 pieces of scenery, and some scenes require all 50 pieces to move at once.
We carry all our own lights, all our own sound equipment. Everyone in the show obviously is mic'd, but it's a pretty substantial amount of stuff. This is really a lot of the stuff that they do in the advance work a couple of weeks beforehand.
We got a tiny peek at the car Joe drives in the chase scene, and then a look at the beautiful replica of the Isotta Fascini automobile driven by Max for Norma. Both cars have to be suspended because of space limitations. And then the mansion itself. What a masterpiece of period elegance. The opulence of Norma's mansion is definitely a reminder that money can't buy everything. And of course, we wondered how the cast feels about being upstaged by the set, because when it's revealed, its magnificence causes the audience to break into applause.
I don't consider doing battle with the set. I mean, the set is her home, and who she is absolutely supported by this environment. So I really have always looked at it as a friend.
You have at the heart of this piece a really intense and wonderful play that is set within this surrounding of great elegance and mystery and all the other things that are combined in this house.
Don't you love going behind the scenes? You know, when we come back, you're going to meet some of the other cast members, and we're going to give you a different look at what's back there.
There is a word for everyone when you want to have some fun. One word, one word, blockbuster. Yeah. One word, blockbuster. Yeah.
Bambi, Thumper, and the whole gang are back in the timeless classic adored by generations. Walt Disney's Bambi, rated G, general audiences. From Walt Disney Home Video, on sale until March 31st at Blockbuster.
I-55 is backed up for miles.
Where's Daddy? I don't know. He's never been this late.
London broil sounds delicious.
I don't think he's ever coming home.
Here's one, Mommy. Non-smoker likes children top red winner.
Maybe you could use one. Ameritech Cellular. Get a free Motorola phone and free nights and weekends all year. Ameritech, your link to better communication.
Something funny happens whenever I go shopping. I love it, but do you really need it? Get some shoes to go with it.
The latest spring fashions have arrived at Marshall's for you and your family. You'll find an amazing collection of all your favorite brand names for 20 to 60% less than department stores. Hurry in. Our selection changes every day.
Look, you won't believe how much I saved. Now I can get something else for myself.
Marshall's. Brand names for less.
Every day.
After you find out that the Oldsmobile Bravada features the exclusive Smart Track system, which can sense changing road conditions and send power to those wheels with traction, and after you discover that the Bravada comes with a rich leather seating area and luxurious appointments, you may think you can't afford it. Well, think again. Because now, for a limited time, you can lease the Bravada for only $359 a month. Bravada by Oldsmobile. Good thinking.
Welcome back. You know, without the character of Joe Gillis, who represents the Hollywood of today from which Norma Desmond is so removed, well, there would be no story. He is the linchpin upon which the action revolves. The story is seen and told through his eyes. And with Ron Boehmer in the touring cast, well, this production is in capable hands.
Turn around, darling. Let me dry you.
I hope you realize, Norma, that scripts don't sell on astrologers' charts.
I'm not just selling the script, I'm selling me. DeMille always said I was his greatest star.
When did he say it, Norma?
The role of Joe Gillis, beautifully played by William Holden in the film, is a demanding one. And Ron Boehmer kept that in mind as he prepared for the musical version.
So I looked at Holden as the jumping off point because his work is so strong and so solid. And what he brings to this script, more than I think any other actor in the film, is that real film noir, that kind of dark, you know, brooding, leading man kind of character. And yet the musical is a different animal in that it has all of those aspects, and yet it has more of a heart to it. There are more sympathetic elements to each character. They're more vulnerable. So for me, it was a matter of taking that guy who was so hard-edged and finding out, now, what is it that wears him down? What is it about Norma Desmond that touches his heart? What is it about Betty that really makes him fall in love, so that the stakes are higher, so that when he does lose something in the show, he really loses and it really hurts.
Having worked with Linda Balgord previously in the touring company of another Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, Aspects of Love, Ron feels that history adds to their performance.
Linda and I sat down and figured it out at one point. We've probably spent something like now over 3,000 hours on stage together between Aspects of Love and between Sunset Boulevard. It was a huge surprise, but it was probably the greatest thing that could have happened for us in terms of this. And I think the audience really benefits too, because whereas if I had started Sunset rehearsals with another actress, we would have had to begin at A, whereas with Linda and I, we just jumped right in at Z, and we've taken this much further in terms of our commitment, the risks we're willing to take with each other on stage.
The character of Joe Gillis is not a sympathetic one, but Ron is not daunted by that.
Kind of false emotion. Sunset Boulevard, brutal boulevard.
But my hope with anything I do on stage is to always have the audience to be able to go, okay, even if this guy doesn't do what I might have done, I can understand why he did that. And along the way, I try to provide a few laughs so people at least go, well, at least he's a likable guy.
Now that we've met the two main characters, it's time to go backstage for another look-see and discover what it takes to get them ready for a performance. Our first stop was in the hair department, where we met the men who prepare over 100 wigs for each and every performance. All the wigs are made of human hair and require specific maintenance. One exception is a wig made of yak hair because it stands up better than human hair. The entire cast wears wigs with the exception of Joe Gillis and, of course, Max von Mayerling. How many wigs does Norma wear in the show?
Norma has about 4. This is the first wig she wears, the first wig you see her in. This is the wig she wears for New Year's Eve that's being set, and she has an updo wig that she wears in Act 2, and the ever pretty.
Ooh. So there's only 4 for her.
She only wears 4, but she does have doubles, so she wears a different wig every day. The sound guy sets the levels before we get the microphones, or the actors get the microphones, and we place the microphones on top of the wig cap, and then the wigs go on top of that.
Oh, so they're actually in here.
Yeah, they run up through.
And then the wig goes on top of that.
Right. Norma wears her mic over here. You rarely see it.
Our next stop took us to wardrobe master Walter Douglas and a chance to look at the Bibles that contain descriptions, photos, and cloth swatches of every costume in the show. The jewelry worn by Norma Desmond is exquisitely copied from originals worn by former Hollywood glamour queens of that era. And believe it or not, the jewelry we were shown was the extras. I tried to borrow a bracelet or two, but Walter felt Norma might need them, so I put them back. Next, Walter showed us the gowns worn by Linda Balgord. They were all individually designed, meticulously handcrafted, and surprisingly very, very heavy. Imagine going up and down stairs 700 times a week in these. What's her quickest change?
About 15 seconds.
15 seconds?
Yes.
Has she always made it?
Always made it, yes. Our Linda Balgord has always made it. Some of the other Normas haven't.
I tried on the coat with 2.5 million hand-sewn beads. And once again, Walter kept a close guard on the costumes. Well, it's time for another break, but there's more Sunset Boulevard, Chicago, right after these messages.
Make a motion, take me further, stretch. Pull me closer, stretch.
Why, oh why, don't ask me why, got B's, say yes. I got 3 friends, 3 heads, 3 B's, what next? Make me wanna try it on and try again, now over my head, V-neck.
It's time to find some sun. No time for work, just fun. So it's ATA again, yeah, on ATA, you're on vacation.
ATA has added new non-stop flights to its already convenient schedule. Now you have more ways to save on ATA. Call today for always low fares at 1-800-I-FLY-ATA.
On ATA.
Our day is just beginning, as yours is coming to an end. We're searching the coldest, deepest waters for a new answer to that nightly question.
Hey, honey, what's for dinner?
New classic char-grilled fillets, only from Gorton's. Thick filet, seared with char-grilled flavor, or zesty lemon pepper. So when you're searching for great dinner ideas, remember, at Gorton's, we go a little further.
Jack, dress the Gordon fisherman.
Even with its legendary capability and fabled ruggedness, there are mountains Jeep Grand Cherokee will probably never climb. But don't bet on it. Check out Jeep Grand Cherokee at your Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Well, last but not least, the last 2 remaining central characters of Sunset Boulevard are Max and Betty Schaefer. They are played by Ed Dixon and Lauren Kennedy. The role of Max von Mayerling requires intensity and stamina. And while at first he appears to be menacing, we soon realize that his devotion to Norma Desmond is the motivating force.
We discovered in the rehearsal process there's a very interesting disintegration. Like Max starts off, both he and Norma are kind of dead in the beginning, and they sort of, both of them come back to life during the process of her coming back into the world. And he needs Joe. He knows that he's not enough for Norma, and so he needs Joe to come in so that she'll have enough. And so he's actually using him for his own ends, even though it's painful for him. So at a certain point, there's a connection between them, like you can see that they sort of acknowledge one another, and it breaks down very slowly. So there's almost a friendship that develops between them until, of course, Joe, like, really blows it altogether.
Now, do you have a favorite moment in the show?
The things that I've come to like the most in the show over the long haul are not the things that I thought that I would. I love Max's songs, and I particularly love Max's first song, but there are tiny moments, like a moment that I exchanged with Linda when she's had to fight with Joe, and Joe has left, and she goes and she stands and looks out the window, and she looks back and she notices that I'm staring at her, and I have to avert my eyes. You know, it's little moments like that that have come up between us. You know, there's a moment when Joe leaves the first time, and I realize he's moved this, which I always have right here, so I put it back where it belongs. it's those things that over the long haul I find myself cherishing. Max really is the most sympathetic character, isn't he? I think so, but he goes through such a roller coaster of internal life during that period. It's when Joe and Norma are really getting together, and he has to watch the whole thing. So, like, when you participate in it, it's not static at all. You know, it's subtle, but it's not static.
Betty Schaefer, on the other hand, never appears other than youthful and positive. This ingenue knows right from wrong and is not afraid to stick to her convictions.
I see your face, I sure did hate you. There I was, the world in my
too much in love to care.
Lauren, you play Betty in the show, and wouldn't you say that Betty really represents the best of Hollywood in this?
I think she definitely represents the honest side and the idealistic side, and she feels that that good pictures can be made. You don't have to sell out to the studios, and she really wants to make a difference in Hollywood. I mean, she's certainly not oblivious to what goes on, but she wants for a better Hollywood life, so to speak.
Do you have a favorite moment in the show?
My favorite moment is a part where I'm not even in. I love the moment when Norma comes back to Paramount Studios and the light hits her and she gets up and she sort of makes her speech and comes back to her kingdom. It's always been the most, I think, theatrical moment in the show, and so beautiful. That's my favorite moment. And I guess of the stuff that I do, it's probably to sing the love duet in the second act. It's so romantic. I just think it's beautiful, and I love the set that we have. It's different from any other set we've had in the show of the evening, and also since the show opened in Los Angeles, it's a different set, and I think it's incredibly romantic, and I don't know. I really enjoy it.
Wouldn't you like to play Norma? Now, I know this is a compliment. You're a little young. But wouldn't that be fun?
I mean, it must be it's the best part in musical theater, I think. I think any woman who gets to play it is quite a privilege.
Well, I hope you have enjoyed this sneak preview of Sunset Boulevard. And remember, the musical opens at the Civic Opera House on March 28th and runs through June 7th. And when you go, you'll feel like an insider because you've seen it all here. Thanks for joining us. I'm Janet Davies. Good night.
Today, honest.
Eric von Stroheim played Max, Norma's servant who worships Norma and in fact was her first husband.
Say, she's quite a character, that Norma Desmond.
She was the greatest of them all. You wouldn't know. You're too young. In 1 week, she received 17,000 fan letters. Men bribed the hairdresser to get a lock of her hair. There was a Maharaja who came all the way from India to beg one of her silk stockings. Later, he strangled himself with it.
And Nancy Olson was Betty Schaefer, a wannabe writer who falls for Joe.
Sheldrake likes the angle about the teacher.
What teacher?
Dark windows. I got him all hopped up about it. He thinks it could be made into something.
Okay, where's the cash?
Where's the story?
I've got to run along. Thanks anyway for your interest in my career.
It's not your career, it's mine. I'd kind of hoped to get in on this deal. I don't want to be a reader all my life. I want to write.
I'm sorry if I crossed you up.
You sure have.
So long. As I drove back...
Delusional, once beautiful silent screen actress trying to make a comeback.
You're Norma Desmond. Used to be in silent pictures. Used to be big.
I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
William Holden as Joe Gillis, a handsome young starving writer who can't seem to sell his scripts.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs. I'm over a barrel. I need a job.
I haven't got a thing.
Any kind of an assignment. Additional dialogue.
There's nothing.
Hi, everybody. I'm Janet Davies. And tonight I'm going to give you a sneak peek at that wonderful musical, Sunset Boulevard. It's opening at the Civic Opera House next week. Of course, you know it's the much-acclaimed Andrew Lloyd Webber adaptation of the 1950 movie that caused such a furor when it was released. Now, I'll take you behind the scenes of this remarkable production, showing you some of the secrets of this incredible and spectacular set, plus some star interviews and even an interview with Andrew Lloyd Webber himself. But first, let's find out how it all began.
I'm sorry.
The main characters are, of course, Norma Desmond, played by Gloria Swanson as the aging and